Welcome in, fans, to the Two Line Pass post-game show. I'm Randon here with Dustin, breaking down the 5-4 overtime loss, your Utah Hockey Club falling to the Anaheim Ducks. This one was a tough one, Dustin. Not going to lie, I'm still a little upset, still a little hurt from the result, but we did get a point, so take away that positive.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at this before this road trip started, I mean, we played what four? We just played 4 games on the road, so there's a possibility of 8 points. Utah locked up 5 of those potential 8 points. They only lost 3 points during this entire road swing. So I would consider overall this road trip, especially with it being against the Rangers and Islanders included in that road trip, getting 5 out of a potential 8 points is a win.
Oh, absolutely. And playing quite a few games, all things considered, 5 games over the span of, 8 days? Home opener for us was the 8th of October, and now here we are. So we've played, I think, the most games of any team so far, and certainly any team in the Central. So, and then just back at it again. In a couple days, so no rest. It's a tough, busy October for the team, but yeah, really good, really productive road trip, and you love to see taking a point. But let's take a look at the game itself and break that down for you in case you didn't see it, weren't able to watch or listen. Anaheim gets on the board first. Troy Terry getting a goal about 5 minutes into the first period, but then Jack McBain about 5 minutes later. Now this one was funny because I actually thought Sergachev had scored again, and another tip-in stymied his goal, but no, this one was pretty much played just right to Jack McBain's stick and just a perfect tip-in. It does not get much better than that, and Utah
Through
ties
the
it up.
legs too. Did you see the angle of that they had from behind the net? That was just a beautiful redirect right through his legs. It just thing of beauty.
Yep, it was awesome to watch, and Sergachev will take his 4th point, his 4th assist, and move on a happy man. And then on the power play, which was a bright spot, even though we only had 2 power play opportunities, but we did get the power play goal. Barrett Hayton puts it in after Nick Schmaltz goes hard into the crease, and Barrett Hayton puts that away. Nick Schmaltz gets his 5th assist, and Dylan Gunther, instead of scoring goals, he picks up the assist on that. Utah ends the first period 2-1. Second period was all Anaheim, pretty much from start to finish. They didn't get on the board until 8 minutes in when Robbie Fabry puts it in to tie the game. And then about 8 minutes later, right before not right before, but a few minutes before the end of the second period, Pavel Michikov gets his first of 2 eventual goals, and Anaheim takes the lead 3-2 going into the third period. Into the third period we go, which was, I think, the most exciting period of the 3. And Utah starts it off 5 minutes in. Michael Kesselring gets his first goal, and actually the first goal of any defenseman on the team so far. And he knots it up at 3. And then 6 minutes later, Keaton Keller gets his 4th of the year. Schmaltz his 6th assist in a beautiful, this is the play we're going to be breaking down and seeing all year, with a beautiful 2-on-1. Schmaltz, perfect pass to Keller, and Keller with the amazing backhand into the net. Utah goes up 4-3. And then a fluky game tying goal. They officially give it to Pavel Minchikov, but Connor Ingram accidentally puts it in on himself, gets tied up under his legs, and he skates it in for the game tying goal. It's pretty much the worst case scenario for a game tying goal, but alas, knotted up at 4, and to the extra frame we go. And just under a minute in, a unfortunate turnover by Nick Schmaltz, and Leo Carlson puts in the goal, and Utah goes away with the loss. But very, very fun game to watch, but really unfortunate result because the 2 points was well within our grasp, and we only walk away with 1.
Yeah, and like we said, that the game tying goal was really depressing to see, just because it's not like it's not as if the defense got beat or as if Connor Ingram got beat. I mean, he made the save, and then the puck just kind of scoots its way inside of his pad, and as he's trying to like close his pads up to locate the puck, he just taps it in. And I believe it was Clayton Keller kind of saw it coming and tried to race in there and keep it out of the net, but just couldn't do it. I do want to just mention probably the coolest transition of that game is you get a penalty. I believe it was Stenlin gets a penalty, and then you have Bertuzzo gets a penalty, and it puts Anaheim on a 5-on-3. And that's a situation where a lot of the time you're going to, at that time, Anaheim had a 3-2 lead. And in that 5-on-3, it's like, okay, can we just avoid falling behind 4-2? Because that would be, at that point of the game, that's almost a backbreaking goal if Anaheim goes up by 2. They kill the 5-on-3. There's about a minute left of the second penalty. They kill that off, and then immediately is when Kesselring gets that goal, and they knot it up. And you went from fearing that we were going to be down 4-2 to a minute and a half, 2 minutes later, all right, we're all tied up at 3. That was such an awesome emotional swing in that game. I loved that, so I just wanted to call attention to that. My other takeaway from this game is I'm blown away by the stick skills and just the overall, just how skilled with the stick and their skates both Logan Cooley and Michelli are. Like, they're both so smooth at controlling the puck, controlling their bodies, being able to like move one way and immediately change direction while keeping the puck. Just those two and their skill with the puck was it blew me away. Like, it was obvious, it was on display tonight, and I had to make mention of that because it was very impressive.
Oh, absolutely. Logan Cooley is one of those guys that he is so good. We've talked about this multiple times, and we're going to talk about it all season because you're going to see it all season. But he's just so good at playing tenacious defense and turning that into offensive opportunities. In the third period, he had a steal, and it was a kind of developed into an odd man rush, but he just played lights out defense, turns the puck over or forces the turnover rather, and races through the neutral zone. I thought he was going to go and just go one-on-one with the goalie, but I think he saw some trailers coming. He let up, and Dylan Guenther did get a good shot off, but it all started with Logan Cooley's defensive play and then speed through the neutral zone the other way. So, and that's what he's done all season so far, is just incredible, sacrificing the body or using his speed and athleticism to take those pucks away and move it right back up the ice. And it's been incredible to watch. One thing I didn't like, and I'm sure everybody at home didn't like it, but then it's kind of one of those double-edged swords because you have to like it. 5 penalties. Again, we're just in the box way too many times. Now, the good part...
5 of 5 of the penalty kill.
Exactly. The penalty kill was lights out, but you cannot... Guys, you cannot keep taking 5 penalties a game in stupid stick penalties. And we're like, Rado Gudas is a piece of I mean, he is such a punk. There's captains who are captains because they're great leaders. There's captains because they are the team, the face of the team. And then there's captains like Gudas, who's just a piece of shit, and he just punks people over and over, and that's what he's good at, right? He just gets under your skin, and you've seen it in the NBA. They exist all the time, right? They're just little punks, and they just poke, but they're so good at getting those retaliation type. And then, he'll get in there and he'll try to fight. He tried to fight Dylan Guenther, but he wouldn't go with Jack McBain. Josh Doan tries to drop the gloves with him, and he won't even drop his stick, but still trying to punch him. Gudas is just a piece, and I do not care for him at all. but our captain is better than your captain. But that's what you're going to see in the NHL sometimes. You got these 5'0" guys who are just little rats, and that's all they're going to do, and that's all Gudas is. So can't wait till we see him again, and he can avoid more fights, but try to pick them. So.
Yeah, and I will like give a little bit of credit to the Utah Hockey Club. Just they were not as bad with the penalties tonight as they have been throughout the season, because one of those was McBain after Gudas like baits him into that, and they're both kind of like throwing little jabs at each other, but McBain lands the last one with like a left little jab. So they put McBain in the box for roughing, and just like that to me, like that's not a penalty. They're both just kind of drawn back, and they're both like throwing hands. They're not full on fighting, but they're giving like a little back and forth to each other. Like he's giving them the business a little bit, but they're doing it back and forth. They're both doing it. Like, don't just penalize. But then again, if you've watched Shoresy, if you retaliate, you go for 2. That's the rule. So I guess there is a little bit of that. And then the other one, which I don't understand. Bertuzzo goes down on the ice to block a shot. And as he's down on the ice, I believe it was McTavish, skates into him and then steps on his leg and falls down. And somehow that's tripping on Bertuzzo. I didn't understand that penalty either. So that's 2 of the, what was it, 5 or 6 penalties that got called that I don't think were deserved. So I will give him a little bit. And there was only one stick penalty tonight, which has been kind of Utah's bugaboo this season so far. I believe only one, which was an early hooking call on Lawson Krause. So not as bad. They've made some improvements. I wasn't expecting them to clean it up completely in one game, but I did see a noticeable improvement in the discipline of the team, especially with their stick waving.
This is true. They were not cosplaying as Wizards of Waverly Place this time, but still way too many penalties. And yeah, so the only thing about the Robert Bortuzzo tripping, which, by the way, he got injured on the play, did not return. So,
a man with a blade on his foot stepped on his leg. So, penalty on Bertuzzo. Anyways, I won't rant and rave about the rest for too much, because that can get a little old and annoying. Rant about the Zebras a little bit too much, but we could have gone on a little bit with it tonight.
No, it was the only thing I could equate it to, that particular penalty, before we move on completely, is if you're Utah Jazz fans, you see this all the time in the NBA, and it's something that I've never understood, and I don't think I ever will understand it. But so in the NBA, you got the elite shooters, they pump fake, they get the defender up in the air off their feet, and then they jump into the defender and draw that. That's exactly what happened with the Robert Bertuzzo tripping play. McTavish got him to go down, and then McTavish tripped over him. Bertuzzo didn't trip McTavish. McTavish tripped over Bertuzzo, but it is what it is. And I did find it extremely rich, though, that for the discrepancy in penalties for Anaheim, the Anaheim fans still twice found ways to chant "Ref, you suck." That's why Utah, please don't do that, because it's very rare that the ref actually is sucking, and sometimes it's deserved. But in this case, you see twice Anaheim fans called it, which just they looked dumb. They looked dumb.
Yeah.
But
yeah, and the second one of those was Schmaltz going to a puck, and I don't remember which skater it was for Anaheim, but sort of like dropped his own face into Schmaltz's shoulder, and then like the flop of the century onto the ice and stays down. Just, it is not Anaheim. Just a friendly note. It is not a penalty on Schmaltz if your skater decides to attack Schmaltz's shoulder with his own face. It's not a penalty on Schmaltz. So
I'm surprised. I was actually looking to see, because he had his gloves like this, and I actually wanted to see him peek out, like is the ref looking? Is the ref looking? Oh, is the ref looking? Is the ref looking? Oh, and then so he didn't get the penalty, and then of course when they realize it's just like a soccer player, right? Oh, no yellow card. Oh, I'm magically healed, right? He skates to the bench, but so hit the ice, act hurt, get indignant. Apparently is the Anaheim motto, but overall, I mean, it's another exciting game. right? We take it to overtime. We get the point. High scoring affair. Too high scoring again so many times. Connor Ingram just gets left out to dry, time and time again. He's making some incredible saves. He's making some mistakes that aren't real, like that fluke goal. You can't, he tried to put his glove back there, but that's you're going to happen. And that's just weird this early in it. So through 5 games, 2 really fluky goals. And I'm not sure. I think the boards was probably more fluky, but either way, again, I'm happy with the way Connor Ingram is playing. I would like him to tighten it up. I think that he's keeping us in games a little too much heart palpitations. I would rather him, lights out, keep us in games, or keep it maybe a 0-0 type 1-1 affair, and not a we need 6 goals to win type thing. So hopefully Connor tightens it up just a little bit there.
Yeah. Connor has been playing poorly this season, but he's playing at a level that's like, I'm going to give you guys a chance to win this game, and not we're going to win this game because I'm playing so well. He hasn't been winning games for Utah. He just hasn't lost games for Utah, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Nope, absolutely. He's playing well enough. And a lot of other bright spots. We were much better on the faceoffs this time around, winning almost 62% of the faceoffs, which historically has been a weak point of this team. So hopefully that continues. We got out hit again, which is pretty much going to be a common occurrence. But block shots, still a lot of block shots, a lot of takeaways. And for the first time this season, less giveaways. Anaheim had more giveaways than Utah. So pretty excited about that. Now still 19, though, is still quite a few more giveaways than we would like to see. But again, early season, we'll continue to get into a rhythm. And unfortunately, the one giveaway that really mattered was the one that gave the puck away for the game winner. So, but overall, they come back. They're at home on Saturday against Boston, and it will be good to be back in the Delta Center. I'll tell you that much. The fans should be on their feet. They should be loud, giving this team a boost. Something to keep in mind, speaking of home crowds, this is the 4th home opener of the season Utah's played. They had their home opener. It was the Islanders' home opener. It was the Rangers' home opener. And that was Anaheim's home opener. 4 times. They had a chance to go 4 for 4 in home openers, and they at the very least are unbeaten in regulation in home openers. I just think it's weird that they played so many. I don't know if that was intentional as like a marketing thing, or if it just really was the way the schedule shook out. I'll never know that, but it seemed going from the East Coast to Anaheim, of all places, did seem kind of intentional. So hopefully they, in future seasons, they get a much more paced opening to their season like the other teams are, and give them a chance to breathe. But at home, at least, they get a couple days off and then back to work on Saturday.
Yeah, this was Utah's 5th game. I believe this was only Anaheim's 3rd of the season. I don't think that's going to play too much into it. These guys are well-conditioned athletes, and you're only, like I said, you're only 5 games into the season, so I don't think one team is going to be more tired than the other, like you hear about sometimes in playoff sports, where one team sweeps and the other one goes to 7 games, and so they're going to be starting their next series on 2 games of rest while the other one's on a week of rest. So I don't think that's going to factor in too much at this point of the season. But yeah, the schedule makers definitely did not do Utah any favors with so many games early on, and 4 of them being on the road.
Mm-hmm. No, not too many favors done at all, but still second in the division. Of course, we have 2 games in hand on many of the other teams in the division, but Dallas has played 4 games and only a point ahead of Utah, so that's pretty good. I mean, Utah's still right in the thick of things, and after a very tough road trip, right where you want to see them, right? We were pretty excited about the outcome of some of those, obviously the Rangers game. So if we can steal one from Boston, that would put us right exactly where we thought we'd be for the season, or for the up to that point. in this season. But any other takeaways you have from this game or things you want to look forward to?
No, not from this game. That really the only thing that I was blown away which I already mentioned, is the skill of a couple of guys that we have that they look so pretty handling the puck. And I did notice throughout the game that there were a few, especially with that late dive, take the dive, get indignant, and then the first goal, which I believe, or the goal that was scored by McBain, was one where Schmaltz had the ball sort of along the line and sort of pushed the issue and put the puck right in front, and then McBain cleaned up the garbage, just like Gordon Bombay taught his Mighty Ducks. So I thought fitting in a game against the Mighty Ducks. We had a couple of callbacks to the Mighty Ducks movie, so I like that.
It's all working internally, the branding, the marketing, it all revolutions, but really it's important to remember that we did get the point from the overtime loss. One thing, speaking of marketing, kind of funny, I don't know if anybody else noticed this. I don't know if how the digital boards work in terms of who gets to play their ads, but up until this point, Utah has been able to run Utah ads on opponents' digital boards. This game did not happen. They ran Anaheim's digital ads on Anaheim's board, except for the glass. Utah still was able to put Utah ads on the glass, but did not have Utah ads on the digital board. So I'm sure there's some sort of contract or something that goes on in that, but I just thought it was interesting because up until that point, I was expecting Utah ads even in the opponent's building, which I thought was strange. But modern world, digital ads are the future, and at least they aren't. When they first launched, they made me sick. I'm not afraid to admit it. I don't know if it was motion sickness or what, but something about them just set me off, and I had a hard time watching games. But so far, it's been pretty good, and I'm pretty happy.
Yeah, the superimposing of the ads along the boards, it threw me off once I finally realized what was going on, because like I was watching, I'm like, how do they have these electronic ads on the boards? Like, have they really protected? They have like a layer of protection in front of the electronics to make that happen. And then there were a couple of cutaways where it showed the boards and it has that ad, and then it cuts to a different camera angle, and they're not imposing those ads over it. It has the actual ads, and it has the marks from players crashing into it and pucks hitting it. I'm like, okay, it's getting overlaid. That makes sense. Like they've started doing that in the NBA. They overlay some of those ads on the court. But this is totally random, but I really miss in the NBA how, like, at the scorer's table, they have those electronic ads. Back in the day, like, they had like 3 or 4 ads that were on like a conveyor belt. And so, like, you'd have an ad, and then you could see it on TV, like, roll to the next one. Is like, you've got one for Jiffy Lube, and then, boom, okay, there's a Mountain America ad. And, like, I miss seeing those roll through. I wish whoever puts those together, if you're running the electronic ads on the scorer's table at Utah Jazz games, just animate that roll into it and make me feel like I'm back in my childhood. Do that for me, and I'll continue podcasting for the hockey club.
Man, I tell you, whoever invented that little turntable ad probably was like, boys, let me tell you, I got something for you here. I mean, it was pretty cool, and it just is like this slow, clunky thing. But I'm with you. I loved watching it. Yep. Absolutely. So it's like one of those old school Shutter ads that like it flips individually as it goes. The Delta Center had a few of those as well. So but yeah, so we'll see more of that, more intricacies of the advertising both home and away. But once again, the Utah Hockey Club falling to the Anaheim Mighty Ducks 5-4 in overtime. We pick up the point. We are in second in the Central, and we are finally back home on Saturday against the Boston Bruins. So if you're not at the Utah football game and you're at the hockey game, we'll see you there and have some post-game comments for you there. If you're going to the football game, I hope it's a good one. And the new era of Utah football is upon us, just like the new era of the Utah Hockey Club is upon us. But guys, thanks so much for listening to the Two Line Pass podcast, and we will see you Saturday after the Boston game. Thanks so much, and have a great night.